every single Gigantamax and Dynamax Pokemon is returning next week, firstly for the Dark Skies event leading up to the Go Fest Max finale. So every single Dynamax Pokemon is appearing as part of Dark Skies, and every single Gigantamax Pokemon along with Eternamax is going to appear next weekend for the Go Fest Max finale. But there is 54 Dynamax and Gigantamax Pokemon, so how are you meant to know which ones are any good? Well, I've looked through absolutely all of them, all 54 of them, and I'm going to rank them. Let's do a tier ranking of all Dynamax and Gigantamax Pokemon, all 54 of them. Let's just jump straight into it. It took me a long time to save all of these. I didn't get all these images from anywhere. I had to build these images. So also last night I'm staying up and I'm saving all 54 images onto separate JPEGs. I put a lot of work into this, but I've also looked through every single stat. So I've looked through attack, defense, and stamina, and I've also looked through the moves to figure out which ones are best to use across the board, right? The only thing you're going to need to keep in mind is that Trubbish came out this week, so anything newer than Trubbish is not going to be factored in if you found this a little bit later. And I also am going to rank Zacian and Zamazenta, even though they're neither Dynamax or Gigantamax, but they can participate in max battles, so I am going to be ranking those ones as well. Eternatus hasn't had its stats finalized, so it's not going to appear in here, but other than that, all Dynamax and Gigantamax are going to appear in this list. So let's just start building it out. To start with, we have one of Kanto's legendary birds, Articuno. We're going to go through this alphabetically. Now, the thing about Articuno is it has really decent defense and really decent stamina. It's got decent attack, just under 200 for that, so I think it's a bit of an overlooked tank, and maybe it's because it takes a fair bit to level it up. I mean, we don't have a whole bunch of Kanto legendary bird candy unless you really farmed it quite heavily. They don't appear that often in the game, so everyone's kind of candy poor as part of that. It doesn't have a great fast move, so in that way, its tanking doesn't really do the job that it needs to do. I'm going to throw that one in the D category. And then moving on to the Bs, we have Blastoise, and this is our first one where we've got a Gigantamax and a Dynamax option here, so one's going to obviously rank higher than the others. The general rule around Gigantamax versus Dynamax is they've got the same stats, but the moves hit so much harder. So you can level up a Dynamax move all the way to max and it still be weaker than the base, like the level 1 Gigantamax move. So pretty much in all cases, if you have a Gigantamax, you want to just straight up use the Gigantamax stuff. So 207 defense, it's decent, right? But you can use Water Gun on it. That's a really good fast move to level up your max meter really quickly. Bite is another great fast move for Blastoise here. As a tank, I think it's pretty good. I'm going to throw that in the A category. But with the Dynamax variant, I mean, it's okay as a tank, right? But I feel like it does need to be significantly lower. I'm tossing up between the B and the C category here, but I'm just going to go with C. I'm going to go with C, but in terms of a tank, Gigantamax Blastoise, huge, love it, absolutely love it. Then we have Blissey. So Blissey is this interesting thing, right? Where it's become this running joke that I absolutely hate Blissey. And the reason I don't like Blissey at all is, number one, it's a normal type. I just don't find normal types very fun to play with. They feel bland. And yes, Blissey has Pound. That is a great fast attack, but Blissey is a healer, right? Blissey is not a tank. Blissey is a healer. And the reason why it's a healer is because it has really high stamina. So it's got just under 500 stamina. That is huge. Don't get me wrong. Its health pool is huge. But that is why it's a healer, because the healing move takes the total effect of the heal from the stamina pool. So it doesn't take it from defense. It's a healer, right? And so, I don't know. Everyone thinks it's a tank. I'm tempted to put it in D just because, well, here's the thing, right? In terms of its viability, healers aren't really required as part of the meta for strategy. So you generally throw out 2 tanks and 1 attacker. You don't use a healer. So in that case, unfortunately, I'm going to have to throw Blissey in a C. And some people are going to probably find that maybe that's a little bit too generous for me to be given Blastoise. Other people, Blissey and other people are going to feel like C is way too low. So that's a controversial move right there. But then we've got Butterfree, our next pair. We've got Gigantamax Butterfree, which was our most recent Gigantamax release, and then we've also got Dynamax Butterfree. Now, the thing with these is they're both bad. They are both bad. The stats is really low, right? Like, if we look at, you know, the stats of this Butterfree, what, 167 attack, 137 defense, 155 stamina, that is low. Remember, Blissey in stamina was just under 500. So, you know, when we're looking at Articuno's attack, right, that was 192 and Butterfree's is 167. So it's bad across the board. So I would probably have to say a D for that one. I'd probably never use Gigantamax Butterfree, like pretty much ever. And unfortunately, given the Dynamax has to be worse than the Gigantamax, that's our first E category release. It's bad. It's bad, but that's where you belong. The shiny looks bad too. Kind of bad design across the board. But yeah, it is the worst of all, I think, that Dynamax Butterfree. I'm so sorry, Dynamax Butterfree. And then we've got Charizard. So we got another pair here. We got the G-Max Charizard. Let's start with that one there. 223 for attack. That is really high. 173 for defense. 186 for our defense and stamina. Now, this used to be the Fire Lord. This used to be the one that you use for all of the fire attackers, and you'll see just after this, it was dethroned. But I think it's still a classic design. It has a shiny. The shiny looks great. It's only marginally lower than its successor, so I'm probably going to have to throw this either in A or S. I'll probably throw it in S. I think is probably, you know, a fair placement for it, even though it doesn't rank as number 1 anymore. It's still really, really high. And then I'll throw in Charizard Dynamax. I mean, it has to be lower. But then again, its successor is better. I'm going to throw that in the C. It's a mid-tier. It's better than nothing, but at the same time, oh man, like, yeah. Gigantamax Charizard, great design, great shiny, great attack. It's good across the board. And so, yeah, Dynamax, not bad either. I do have a shiny Dynamax Charizard, but I don't have a shiny Gigantamax Charizard, so I'm going to have to throw it there. But this is where its successor, so it used to be the best fire one until this one came along, Gigantamax Cinderace. That is the new Fire Lord. The Gigantamax Cinderace is by far the best. 238 compared to Charizard's 223, so it is significantly better in pretty much every way. And look, hot take, no pun intended, I think that this is a cooler design as well. So if Charizard sits in the S tier, then we have to throw in Cinderace in the S tier as well. It's only fair. But what do we think about Dynamax? Probably not good enough for a B tier, but I'm going to throw it in C. I do have a hundo of the Dynamax, but I don't have a hundo of the Gigantamax, so that was sad when the Gigantamax came along and I had to bench my Dynamax. I was like so proud of my Dynamax Cinderace, and I was like, I used it all the time, and then when the Gigantamax comes along, I'm like, I just don't, I'm like that meme from Toy Story, I don't want to play with you anymore. I felt really bad about it. I invested heavily in that one too. Then we have Corviknight next up. Now, the interesting thing about Corviknight is it doesn't look tanky, but it is actually really tanky. If you're looking at its stats, 192 on defense, 221 on stamina, it can take some hits. I was really surprised when this one came out. I mean, I'm a big fan of Rookity and Corviknight. I think they're great designs, but I wasn't expecting them to perform very well. But I wouldn't invest in a Corviknight right now. And the reason I wouldn't invest in a Corviknight right now is because Gigantamax Corviknight is on the horizon. Don't find yourself in a similar situation as me with the Dynamax Cinderace that I invested heavily in, only for Gigantamax to come out so soon after, because there is going to be a Gigantamax Corviknight. So don't invest heavily in it. But at the same time, it's a great tank. If you have the candy, and I guess at the same time, we do have the Rookity Community Day coming up. Maybe that's when they're going to do a surprise Gigantamax release. Maybe not, but you'll get a lot of candy as part of that. So I guess you'll have the candy to invest in it, but I probably wouldn't pay the Stardust amounts. I'm going to throw that into the B category. Then we have Cryogonal. Now, Cryogonal, it's similar to Articuno. Like, it's a decent tank, but it's kind of like slow. So unless it's typed correctly, it's not a Pokemon I would use that often. I mean, this was one of the hardest ones for me to get. I remember struggling getting this done because I didn't have a great fire type at the time. Now they're a lot easier, but I'm going to kind of have to throw that down with Articuno in the D tier category there. I also don't like the design of the Pokemon. Maybe it deserves to be in the E tier, but you will be generous today with Cryogonal. Then we have Darmanitan, and look, it's got a good attack stat. On paper, you look at this attack stat, 263. That is really high. But, you know, with the Gmax fires that we have, I just don't find myself using this very much. I mean, you'd think it would be really great, but just having a low power move in the fire category, it also has slow, fast moves, even though you use it as an attacker. I don't know. I'm kind of torn about this one. If you don't have a great fire type Pokemon, it's good. But at the same time, if you do, then I probably wouldn't overlook those S tier ones. So I'm going to throw it in. I'm going to throw it in A then. Then we have Dubwool. Now, Dubwool, this was a classic starter D-Max. You know, at the time it was an okay tank. It was pretty much the only one that we had as part of that, but now it's only got 198 on the defense and 176 on the stamina. So I'm going to have to throw him pretty low, but you know, also I got a kind of a soft spot for him. Again, no pun intended with the wool, but yeah, it's fond memories of when Max Battles first started and we had to make do with what we have. All right, then we have Ente. Now, Ente is, again, I got a soft spot for Ente, right? Because it was the first Shundo I ever got, my Shundo Dynamax Ente. I was so happy with it. If you haven't seen that video, go check that out. But when it sort of appeared in front of me, I was like, shiny, shiny. I was so excited about it. But then someone came over my shoulder and goes, dude, that's a Shundo. And I was like, got even more excited. You really have to see that clip. But all that aside, like that fun moment aside, it's got a great attack, 235. But, you know, again, there's just better fire types out there. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to do him dirty and throw him on the C tier. The shiny isn't that great either. It's pretty good, but not as good as some of the other legendaries it sits alongside. Then we have Excadrill. Now, Excadrill is still one of my most used Dynamax ones today, even though we've got so many Gigantamax Pokemon out there. I still find myself going back to using my Excadrill. It's really, really good. It's got high attack and high health. It's got a great fast move being Metal Claw. It's just one of the best D-Maxes around. It sits in the S tier. Like, just lock it in. Lock it in. That stays there. I love that one so much. And I'm really, I'm gonna miss it once it gets outranked from the S tier category. But for now, it can sit in there all well and good. Then we have Farlinkx, and Farlinkx used to be a really great fighting type Pokemon. I mean, I always process this as a bug type Pokemon, but it was a great fire type Pokemon at the time. But unfortunately now there's just better options out there. Like stats wise, it has 193 on attack, 170 on defense, and 163. It's just, it doesn't have an evolution. It's just a little bit bland. D. I'm going to throw him on the D. Then we have Garbodor, which is the newest one evolution of Trubbish. Now, this one also has a Gigantamax somewhere on the horizon. We don't have it yet, but that is going to be there at some point. So again, I probably wouldn't invest too heavily into this one. The stats are kind of just average too, 181, 164, 190. Get out of here. I mean, you're trash, not because you're trash. You're trash because your stats are kind of bad and there's something better on the horizon. Gmax of that doesn't look that great anyway. It's got like a ship and stuff in it, which looks pretty cool. But That's going to be a bad D-Max, but you know what's going to be a fantastic G-Max and was a fantastic G-Max is Gigantamax Gengar. One of the best Gigantamax designs by far, and also one of the best attack stats too. I mean, it is the second strongest attack stat outside of Zacian. So you got Zacian, you got another one, which I won't talk about yet. Then you have Gigantamax Gengar. Huge. Absolutely huge. And the best design, fantastic shiny as well, being the slightly like whiter version. Oh my God. Oh my God. I love Gigantamax Gengar so much. And the power of community, let me tell you, I was on a work trip far up north in Australia when this came out, and there wasn't remotes at the time, so I couldn't do any of them. And luckily, someone from the community came and said, here, have this one. And it went lucky, and I was so happy about that. So I'm going to have to clearly throw this in the S tier category. When this comes back, this is going to be one of the only ones that I am spamming as much as I can for the hour it is back. It is so great, and I really, really need that shiny. Then we have the D-Max version of that. And look, Gengar is really good, right? Like Gengar, 261 on the attack line. Like, that's huge. So it's going to have to go in the A tier category. Even if you don't have the G-Max yet, the D-Max is absolutely worth investing in there. So that one's pretty good. Then we go back to a classic one, Greedent. Now, Greedent has 160 attack, 156 defense, and also 260 stamina. And this is kind of why there was a little bit of a meme going around at the start of when Max Battle started in Pokemon Go, that it's just like, just use Greedent, it'll be fine. And it kind of was fine, especially with that really high stamina. But, it was a decent healer, but there's just better healers now. Like, there's better healers in Blissey and a couple of other ones we'll touch on in a bit. So I'm just going to have to throw it down in the E category. You served us well at the time, Greedent, but you and Dubwool can both go in that E category there. Then we have Hatterin, which is one of the newer Dynamax releases as well. And it's also a decent fairy type attacker. I think it might be one of the only fairy type attackers that we have. So, I mean, that has something going for it. 237 on the attack line, 182 on defense, and 149 on stamina. So it's decent across the board. Again, I don't expect it to perform that well, but it's pretty good. I mean, to be fair, I haven't really found myself using it that much, but it's nice to know it's there. I have a decent one. So we'll just kind of keep it there. And then we're moving on to one of the other recent Gigantamax starters, Inteleon. Into Leon. Mr. Leon, we'll see you now. And look, this is amazing. This is absolutely amazing. This is the strongest of the starters that it came out with. 262 on the attack line. It is a glass cannon though. 142 on defense, 172 on its defense and stamina. So it's a glass cannon, right? You wouldn't put it out in the field outside of its max phase when it's doing its attack, but Hydro Snipe, absolutely huge move. Absolutely incredible. I mean, if Cinderace sits on the S tier and this is stronger, this has to sit on the S tier too. It's a general rule. I love the design. The design is really, really fun. And I'd probably have to put its D-Max version probably on the A category. I don't know. Maybe I'll bump it to B. It's really good though. I'm going to make an executive decision, throw it on A. I had a hundo of it too, again, outranked by the G-Max, so I had to bench it. So yeah, gonna have to throw that guy there. That's totally fine. Then we have one of the other new ones as well, Kabutops. Average rock type. We were kind of excited when Butterfree came out and we're like, well, we got a great rock type, but it's just kind of average across the board. There's nothing that remarkable about it. We'll throw it into the C category there. Then we have another pair of G-Max and D-Max. We've got Kingler. Now, Kingler used to be the king of the water type. So we had our fire takeover before, and it used to be the best until it was taken over by Inteleon. And so it's got two good fast moves, Metal Claw and Mud Shot. So they're great moves to charge up the max meter. The only problem is it is also a glass cannon, being 181 on defense, 146 on its stamina line. So I'm probably going to have to throw this in the A category because it did get bumped down a little bit. Pretty good though. Like if you don't have Inteleon, then, you know, you would use Kingler. But that means I'm probably going to have to throw Kingler's other one into the C category there. C is pretty jam-packed, but that's kind of our, you know, we have a great Gigantamax version, so I kind of have to bump you down a little bit into that one there. Then we have Lapras. Lapras, I think, is... No, the Kanjo starters had a repeat. Lapras had a repeat recently, so we're starting to see these ones repeat a little bit. Everyone thinks Lapras is an attacker. Lapras is pretty low on attack. It's 165 on attack. It's actually a healer. So its defense line is 174. So again, decent, but its stamina line is 277. And that's kind of why it's a healer. But most people think it is an attacker or a healer. And it's just none of those. So I'd probably throw Lapras in the B tier category. It also suffers because its shiny is absolutely great. It's a purple shiny, but when you activate the max move and you've got the red ring above it, the way the red light falls on the purple kind of washes the shiny away. Bit of a gripe, but you know, have to sort of outline that there. But it doesn't have a Dynamax variant yet. It's just the Gigantamax is out for that one. So that one's kind of on its own. Then we have two of the recent legendary ones. We've got Ladius and Ldios. Let's start with Ladius. So Ladius is the tank version of the two. It's got 228 on its attack line, so lower than Ladios, which has 268, but it's got a higher defense line at 246, and both of them have the same stamina. So both of them have stamina of 190, but Ladius as the tank has 246, and Ladios has 212. So 228 for Ladius compared to Ladios' 268 on attack, but Ladius is better on the tank for 246 compared to Ladios' 212. So Ladius is the tank, Ladios is the attacker. Start with Ladius. It's a solid tank, but in most cases, I think you just go with Zamazenta, right? So I probably don't know when you'd use this and you wouldn't have Zamazenta. Most people have Zamazenta, but that kind of goes with any of the tank stuff. I mean, when a Dynamax comes out, then maybe you want a second tank if you only got one Crown Shield Zamazenta. But I mean, on its own, it's great. I mean, I kind of have to put some respect on its name. I'll throw it in the A category. It's good. Great shiny too. Absolutely great shiny. And then when we got Ldios here, it's a great attacker for a Dynamax again. So Zacian is going to be a good one too, but also if you need a second attacker for whatever reason, Ldios is a great one. I'm going to throw both of them in the A tier. I think that's probably pretty fair. Let's throw both of them in the A tier there. Then we have another pair of Gmax and Dmax being Matchamp. Now, this was I think this was the first time that remotes were made available for Gigantamax and Dynamax battles. So everyone was super excited. And that was such a big shift, right? Like before Matchamp, when there was no remotes, everyone was like, I don't like doing max battles. Max battles are bad, blah, blah, blah. Then as soon as you could remote them, everyone's like, please let me in, please invite me. It's like, you can like what you can like. Just because it wasn't possible for you before doesn't mean it was bad, but now you want to do it. So it's interesting to see that shift in mentality sometimes. But Matchamp is also one of the initial 151 classics. So I think a lot of people were really excited. That was a great one to introduce the remotes on. And let me tell you, Matchamp is a great Pokemon as well. 234 on the attack line, 159 on defense, 207 on the stamina. I think it's an S tier on its design alone. I mean, the fact that they gave it a green shiny is awesome. Like, it's awesome. That's like very Hulk-esque. And then you had the Dynamax version that came out a little bit before it as well. And like I said, it's great. I'm probably going to have to throw that in the B category there as well. I mean, yeah, S tier very clearly on the Gmax, but that Dmax can throw it in the B tier category there. Then we have Metagross. Now, this is a classic tank, but With Metagross, its tanking isn't the only thing it's great at. It now has a great fast attack move too, with Fury Cutter. So a new bug type move, which is crazy to think it's got a bug type move, because it just seems like a straight steel based off its design. But it's a classic tank. I mean, it's the only, I think, and I haven't finalized my placements on all of these, right? I think it's one of the only Dynamax ones that I'll put in the S tier category alongside Excadrill. It's a classic. I use it so much. I don't have the Dynamax Shiny, but yeah, that is such a great Dynamax, and it's useful in so many situations. It always pulls through. That is kind of my tank of choice before Zamazenta came out. Then we have Moltres. So Moltres is next. Now, Moltres has slightly less attack than Metagross. So Metagross had 257. Moltres has 251. But the interesting thing about Moltres is people think it's like a fire-type Pokemon. Yes, it is, but it's also a flying-type Pokemon, obviously. And it does better with the flying-type moves. So I would use its fast move being a flying type because Max Airstream is best over its fire type. So you change the fast move and then it activates the different max move. And so you want Max Airstream as its flying type because there's just better fire types than it out there. But I'd kind of put 251 on its attack. Again, it's a little bit expensive to kind of like level up. I'd put it a little bit above Articuno, just because it does have that flying option there, which is a little extra touch that is nice to have. Then we have Omastar. Now, Omastar is one of the new ones as well. It's an average rock type. Came just a bit too late. We had Butterfree on the weekend before the Max Monday where Omastar was finally released. So it was kind of funny that we waited so long. And we're like, if only we had a good rock type. And they go, you can have Kabuto. And it's like, no, we want we want a better one. And let me tell you, the Omanyte's like max, when it goes Dynamax and you use Omanite, its eyes are like huge. It looks like these big sort of squid eyes. It's very, very cool. I like the design of that. It's kind of fun, but it did come a bit too late to Butterfree, but we won't hold that against it. I'll probably put that in the B category. Its shiny looks absolutely great as well. Then we move on to Passimian, and look, Passimian 222 on the attack line, doesn't have any good fast attacks to fill the meter, and Matchamp is just a better fighting type Pokemon in general, so I'm going to have to throw that in the C category. Nothing that great about that there. Then we have Raichu. I always like interchange between those two. I don't know why I say Raikou sometimes, even though I know it's Raichu. Just habit, I guess. We 241 on the attack, 195 on defense, 207 on stamina. Look, that's pretty good. It's a decent, solid legendary. Slightly weaker than Zapdos, spoiler alert. But I'm probably going to have to put that in the B category. It's pretty cool. I don't love its design as much, but, you know, saber-tooth tiger kind of thing. Like, that looks pretty good. Then we have Rillaboom. Now, Rillaboom G-Max is a classic, being it was the first one to come out as part of the Go Fest Gigantamaxes. That was the one that I was at in Japan. I did so many of them. I walked away without the hundo. Very sad about that. But it does have really good attack. 239 on the attack line, 168 on defense, 225 on stamina. So it's a pretty balanced Pokemon in terms of it being on the field when it's doing a little bit of unofficial tanking, but it is primarily an attack Pokemon. Look, I'm going to have to throw that in the S tier category. That's a pretty good one. And I'm probably going to have to throw its Dynamax variant in the B tier category there as well. It's great, but, you know, I just can't rank it any higher than that being a D-Max. Then we got Sable Eye. So Sable Eye, nothing remarkable there. Did get the shiny. The shiny looks pretty good. But, you know, 141 on attack, 136, 137. That's kind of like Butterfree kind of territory. I'm going to have to throw that in the E category. Very hard to catch, too. I feel like Sable Eye just doesn't really stay in the ball that much, but you know what, you can stay down there and think about what you've done. Then we go into meme territory with Shuckle. Now, it's kind of like, yeah, there's no good fast move with Shuckle, but the thing about Shuckle is kind of interesting that you have 17 on attack, you've got 85 on stamina, and then defense, you've got 396. So 17, 396, and then 85. It's like, that is a meme territory. I don't know what to do with it. Because you should be in the E category because you're not that useful, but you definitely don't deserve any higher than a C. Like, you're not that useful because you kind of need more in the stamina slot. I'm going to have to throw you in the D category. I feel bad because Shuckle's kind of cute, but I feel like it is up there in the meme territory with with some of the meme Pokemon. All right, we have Snorlax, another standalone Gigantamax, which we haven't seen the Dynamax. This is my preference to Blissey. It's got the same defense stat, and I think it's slightly more interesting because, yes, it's a normal type Pokemon, but it uses Lick as a fast move, which gives me a little bit of a different animation at least. Again, like I said, not that much different, but it is a Gigantamax, which gives us a little design change to look at as well. That is definitely my preference out of the two of these. So, well, I'm probably going to throw this in the A category for a tank / healer. It kind of does, I sometimes use it as a tank just for a bit of fun because I love to see the design, but technically it's a healer. It's a healer. The other thing worth noting about Snorlax, though, as well, is it has 190 on the attack. So it is better than Blissey on the attack. So Blissey has 129, whereas Snorlax is stronger than that as well. So it is a little bit more useful as well, especially given it's stronger and it has Lick as the move there as well. Then we have Suicun. Now Suicun has 180 on the attack, 235 on defense, and 225 on stamina, which makes it kind of an underrated tank, which can be great if it's typed correctly, but generally you'll have more candy for a Blastoise than you would have candy for Suicun, unless you've been farming a lot of Suicun and doing nothing with Squirtle or Blastoise. So in that way, I'm going to have to probably throw it in the D category because it suffers from a similar thing to Articuno, I think. But, we'll throw it in there. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. Then we have Gigantamax Toxricity. Now, there's two forms to this. There's the electric and then there's the poison. But really, you want to use it for the electric type as a G-Max type. I think this is one of the ugliest Gigantamax Pokemon designs they've ever released. Something about it I just do not like. I feel like it moves too slow. I hate the antenna thing on the back. I love the general Dynamax version, but that Gigantamax version, I really, really don't like it. But look, we can't underestimate how good it is as an electric type attacker. So it is 224 on the attack, 140, and then 181 on stamina. So as an attacker, it's impossible to overlook it. It's really fast. So as much as I don't like its design, I'm going to have to throw it up on the... Oh, what am I going to have to... I'm probably going to have to A it. But... I'm going to have to throw it in the B category for its Dynamax. So that's the only one that hasn't had a 2-panel drop there as well. So I'd throw it kind of there. Then we have Unfezant. Now, Unfezant has a great attack stat, but it doesn't have a good fast move. So it's a great thing to have another flying type, absolutely. But we also have Corviknight already, and we also have Moltres, which we spoke about before. But we do have a lot of candy for Unfezant. That is one thing it has going for it. But I'm gonna have to throw it in the C tier category. It's just a bit of a nothing burger, I think. Then we've got another pair. So we've got Ursafu Rapid Strike and Ursafu Single Strike. Now, these have the same stats across the board. 254 for attack, 177 for defense, 225 for stamina. So why is one of these better than the other? And the interesting thing is Rapid Strike has really slow moves, surprisingly. You'd think Rapid Strike is the better of the two. But Sucker Punch is better. So Ursafu Single Strike allows you to have Sucker Punch, and Sucker Punch is a faster move in max battles to fill up the meter than anything that Rapid Strike has. And in that way, at least for max battles, Single Strike is actually better than Rapid Strike. So I'm going to have to put Single Strike. Well, I'm going to put Rapid Strike on the C tier line. And then I'm going to have to put Single Strike on the B tier category. It is slightly better, but yeah, I find that really, really interesting. That is really, really funny. I like that. Then we have Venusaurs Gigantamax versus Venusaurs Dynamax. Now, it's not a great Pokemon, but it's kind of a classic at the same time. I mean, Venusaur's Gigantamax is kind of average across the board. It's one of the more balanced Pokemon we have in max battles. I mean, we got 198 for attack, 189 for defense, 190 for stamina. It's pretty much just a flat line of stats, which is, appreciated and respectable, because a balanced Pokemon is a good Pokemon, but it just doesn't excel in anything in particular. I'm going to throw it into an A tier category. I'd probably always use Gigantamax Rillaboom over that, and that means I'm going to have to throw it into the C tier category for its Dynamax version. Starting to close this out, we're down to our final ones now. We got Waylord. Waylord is an underrated healer, so it has 175 attack, only 87 on defense, but it has 347 as its stamina line. And we talked before about how healing moves takes it from the stamina line, but unfortunately, in the current meta, we don't have a use for healers, so I'm going to have to straight E that. I mean, it's a cool looking Pokemon, don't get me wrong, especially since it's so big, and you throw it and it sort of becomes max mode. That's really cool, but same time, we don't need healers, so if you're not really bringing anything remarkable, I'm going to have to throw you into the E tier category. Then we have some of the black sheep, but also most used Pokemon out there. We have Zacian and Zamazenta. Now, Crown Sword Zacian and Crown Shield Zamazenta can both be used in max battles, despite them not being a Dynamax or a Gigantamax Pokemon. If you've looked at the anime or the mainline games, they team up and they take on Eternatus's Eternamax. And obviously, that's kind of where we got our first hint that Eternamax is going to be coming to Pokemon Go when we saw these announced for Go Fest. I love Crown Sword Zacian so much. I show this in some videos, right? It's a great Pokemon. I love it so much. Crown Shield Zamazenta, again, very good as well. These are the best attack and defense Pokemon available in max battles right now, and they probably will be for some time. Let's start with Zacian. Zacian is 332 on attack, the highest out of all of the Pokemon we talked about so far, but it also has a really high defense stat straight out the gate, which makes Zacian the best attacker and a very viable tank as well. If you don't have a Zamazenta, you can use Zacian for pretty much both attack and tanking, which is absolutely incredible. Has to lock it in the S tier category. Have to. It's, the shiny looks great too with the baby blue, but I'm going to have to throw it in the S tier based off that attack alone. Even if you ignored the defense stat, I'm going to have to throw it in the S tier for its attack alone. And then it's probably unsurprising that Zamazenta is going to follow into that S tier as well. And that is because it has 292 on the defense. Absolutely huge. But it also has a great stamina line too, being 192. And also when you put it in play, even when you haven't reached a max phase yet, you just immediately just throw it out there. You'll get a single stack of max guard. So if you use 3 stacks of max guard in your max mode, once you finally get there, you'll have a total of 4. But immediately once it hits the field, if you put it in position 1, you'll get 1 stack of max guard out the gate. That on its own is worth S tier, but those stats, absolutely has to be in S tier there. And then rounding it out, Zapdos, our final one. We started with a Kanto Legendary Bird. We're going to finish with a Kanto Legendary Bird here too. Zapdos being 253 on attack, 185 on defense, 207 on stamina. It's expensive to power up, similar to Articuno, but the reason why this is a little bit different to the other Kanto birds is it does have Thunder Shock, which is a great fast move to fill the meter very quickly. So I am going to throw that into the B tier category, which lets us finish all 54 Dynamax and Gigantamax Pokemon. That is it. That is our tier list there. Very balanced. C tier obviously has a range of them. S tier though, Charizard, Cinderace, Excadrill, Gengar, Inteleon, Matchamp, Metagross, Rillaboom, Zacian, Zamazenta. They are S tier, and on the bottom tier we have Butterfree, Double, Garbodor, we have Greedent, we have Sable Eye, and we have Waylord, and everything in between. I'm really curious to know what you think about my tier list here. Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? Would you have made any changes here? Was there any that I missed out of all of the ones available so far? Did I miss any? Surely maybe I did, but let me know in the comments if I did and where you would place it in here. But I'm really curious to know. Don't forget, this is really fun for me to do, but I really love it, especially when you like, subscribe, and engage with this stuff. It's one of those things you just keep saying, but you know, honestly, it does mean a lot because it does help us within the algorithm. So definitely hit the subscribe button. That's the most valuable thing you can do for me. Second most valuable thing you can do is join the Patreon. All these people are on the Patreon. Anyone on the Patreon, I invite you guys to remote raid battles as I'm doing them when we film the vlogs that we go out and do. So if you want to support the things that I do and go out there and do those things and make these videos and make the vlogs, make the shorts, all those things, thank you to everyone that's already doing that. And if you'd like to join those people, please head over to the Patreon. The link is in the bio. But for now, that is all the Dynamax Pokemon. Enjoy the Dark Skies event. Enjoy the Max Finale event. We got so much coming out, including all the hundos for all of the Dynamax and Gigantamax in short form. I'm gonna go rest my voice. There we go. Tier Maker. Done. Thanks, Tier Maker.